Good morning, everyone. It's 9 a.m. I'd like to welcome everybody to the work session for September the 8th, 2020 of the Limestone County Commission. Under public comment, we have our DA, Mr. Brian Jones. You mind step up to the mic?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Last month we sent y'all a request for funds. As y'all are aware, we're the only state agency in the state of Alabama that's required to raise their own funds to operate. We've gotten our number for next year, for fiscal year 2021. I'm going to receive $357,488 from the state of Alabama. Even though we're 3 people short and we've cut spending by over $100,000, our budget for next year is about $800,000. With COVID, we're still trying to assess the amount of money that has cost us. We are in a situation where we are basically every revenue stream we have is ending. The Southern Poverty Law Center has gone after court cost recovery. The check unit has died. And likewise with condemnations, they're trying to do away with that this year as well. And
court cost recovery?
Court cost recovery, okay. And what that is like if you, let's say you have a $1,000 fine in court costs. If you do not pay that and you become 90 days delinquent, we file a petition to hold you in contempt or revoke your probation. And what happens is there's a 30% surcharge, and if we collect that money, we get to keep that money, the 30%, okay? And that's how we, for the surcharge, right. And that's how we make up the basically a $500,000 deficit a year is all these different things that the state has put line items in the budget. Well, the problem is when they put all this stuff together, the check units were working. I think the check unit made $2,000 last month. Court cost recovery has bottomed out because what happened is the Southern Poverty Law Center attacked us for putting people in jail for not paying their fines and court costs. So now the counties are unable to jail people for that. So they don't pay it.
So can they garnish?
No, statewide.
Can they?
No, statewide. Basically,
can you garnish?
Well, the thing about it is what you have to do is you have to put them on a docket where they come up and they explain to the judge, Judge, I couldn't pay my $50 this month because of X, Y, Z. Okay. But the thing about it is even if they get arrested for an alias, they get to sign their own bond, and so there's no mechanism to collect that money. And so we just roll people month after month after month. But the functional problem is, with Gray West leaving and going on the bench, we did not replace him till today to try to save that money. And so we're basically running into a situation that everything we are doing through no fault of our own is not generating sufficient funds. And for the last couple of months, we've had 2 lawyers covering all 4 courtrooms. And we just can't do that. And the thing about it is, it doesn't matter. I know the Sheriff's Department has asked for more money. For the Sheriff's Department to make more cases, that's great. But if I don't have anybody to go to court or have anybody to file the paperwork or appear on behalf of the state, then that's a problem. The natural inclination from the counties is to say, okay, go back to the state. All right. There's no mechanism to do that. We basically had a bailout in June. A lot of people don't know that the state of Alabama defaulted on payroll, and all the DA's offices in the state were going to close in June. And we were able to kind of get about a $5 million appropriation to keep the doors open. That appropriation ends in October. So we actually don't know after October 1 whether some of the bigger offices are going to default on their payroll. And if they default on their payroll, we default on our payroll. And so what we're asking for is $150,000. That would allow me to hire 2 assistant DAs with an annual salary of $45,000, which, including retirement and benefits, is $66,132. The additional money would allow me to hire a receptionist or someone out front. Right now, if you come across to the other courthouse and walk in my office, there's nobody sitting out front. You have to ring a bell. If you call our office, there's nobody to answer the phone. It's a digital system because we can't afford to hire somebody to put them out front. I canceled Westlaw. We have had no legal research software since March to save money. I mean, we basically have cut everything we can other than the essential staff. And so that's why I'm back again this year asking for some money for some help. All right. Any questions?
All right, the other 66 counties that we've got, do the other county commissions, do they give money to the local district attorneys?
Yes. We're one of the few.
Let's say Madison County. How much is Madison County?
Almost 50% of Madison County's budget is funded through their county commission. And so like when
does it come from the general fund or does it come from a source that's set up?
It should come from the general fund. And so we're one of the few counties in the state that does not receive any assistance from the county commission.
Do you know what Lauderdale does?
They get some. And see, and the thing about it is I've also peeled off 2 employees on a grant. So Lee and Lori both are on a grant that's a federally funded. So as far as my payroll, I'm down to me, Jim Ayers, Kristen Clemens, the new guy hired this morning, and Chelsea Romine and James Clem. And James is actually the only avenue that's actually making any money, is that's pretrial diversion, and the Southern Poverty Law Center is after that. They're trying to end that as well. And so, you know, that's why we're reaching out to y'all, is the fact that we've done everything we can independent of our own before we came to you and said, look, I need some money.
How does the SPLC, what avenue, do they do it court? Do they have suits, or what do they do?
Well, they're filing lawsuits, and in fact, we've been fighting with Appleseed right now on a public records request, because the idea is they argue that pretrial diversion is not fair because the participants pay a fee, okay? And they're like, well, that's not fair for poor people.
That's optional, though, right?
Well, it is optional. Well, statewide, it's not optional in some of the counties, but in our statute, we specifically wrote the statute knowing that this was coming. And so what can happen is if you go into pretrial diversion and you have the fees and everything lined up, if you can't afford it to go to the program with the community service department, what we've done is you can trade community service at the federal minimum wage level against any fees you may incur. And so far, not a single person has taken us up on that. They said no, they just needed more time to pay it, or they borrowed it from a relative, or however they ended up paying it.
Send them
Are
to
we
me.
waiving any type of court costs or anything right now that we could stop waiving the court costs? Or, I mean, I don't know where you tell me where the money has been cut off, but
Right.
is there anywhere where we pick back up and start putting money back into it from there?
Very little, because my people know, I mean, I've been called a couple of choice words by some folks in this county because I'm always after the court costs. And, you know, the issue is, you know, we can award the court costs, but then what happens when they go 90 days delinquent and they don't pay it? Then when we file the pretrial, prior probation revocation against them, we're not able to jail them. So you basically pick you up, you go up to the jail, you sign a bond, out the door you go, and all of a sudden you realize, well, hey, I'm not going to pay that. And so every month we have people lined up, and you know, this old adage about it takes money to make money. All right, and that's the thing about it, is everybody's just slammed. I can't add any more stuff to Chelsea's plate, plus she's about to have a baby. And so if we can get some money to hire a receptionist, the receptionist can pick back up with the court cost recovery dockets. In like Lauderdale County, Coleman County, they have dockets of 400 or 500 people, and they just stand in line. And they go up there and tell the judge, well, Judge, I couldn't pay my $50 this month. And they say, well, I'll see you next month. And finally, if they get caught up, they don't have to come back. And that takes people to file all those revocations. And so because of the fact that we're so shorthanded, we're filing them as many as we can, but then we run into the issue of the fact that trying to enforce the payment.
So the only incentive they have to pay is so that they don't have to come before you every month.
Right, and that's actually what happens in the big dockets, is that people just get so sick and tired of having to show up every month to get it paid, they just say, fine, I'll pay it. Whereas back in the old days, before all these lawsuits and stuff started, we would have like a Christmas roundup. And so we'd file a probation revocation on hundreds of cases, and they'd pick everybody up, and people would pay it. I mean, you see money coming out of people's shoes, their pockets, whatever, to get that. And so that's what I'm saying. I mean, the state kind of got a big eye-opener when we had the shutdown in June, that they didn't really realize. I mean, we were losing about $30,000 a month in COVID. I think Mobile County was losing somewhere around $200,000 a month. And even though we're separate, distinct offices, we're all tied together for payroll. And so they defaulted on their payroll, and the state had to step in and save that payroll to keep everybody in my office from losing their paycheck, basically.
Yeah. And CARES
No.
can't do that for CARES. Okay.
And that's why I said, we were back, we came last year, we were having a lot of problems. This year, nobody could foresee COVID. I know y'all's revenues are down. But the problem is we've reached the point where, a basic fundamental job of each county and each government is to protect the citizens and provide basic services. And we've reached the point in funding where $350,000 is not going to cover it. And no matter how much I stretch it, how much I try to water the juice down, it's not going to do it. Plus, I need my Westlaw back too. That's trying to do legal research on Google. It doesn't work very well.
Any idea when it might come back to where you can?
Well, that's the problem, because the thing you got is until we can, if they're successful in killing pretrial diversion and they won't kill drug court too. That's the other thing. If if they're successful in killing that, then that's our last remaining revenue stream other than the state and potentially y'all.
And garnishment is not an option, is it?
No, because see, what happens is, it's not a civil judgment. And so the issue becomes, that 30% we're going after. But also on top of that, you got to realize is that's also restitution. So let's say somebody's house has been burglarized, they stole their prized TV. We're filing all these motions to get the restitution as well. And so, all the victims in these cases, they call and we tell them, it's like, look, they're coming back next month. They're going to pay their $50. We're squeezing the rock hard to where we have done everything we can.
Well, what about let's get the money before we turn them loose?
Well, then the issue becomes then that raises the cost at the jail. Let's say a pretrial detention, it's going to take that person 2 years for somebody on work release or family to save it. Then you turn around and you're going to bear the expense of the sheriff's department of feeding that person for the next 2 years. We tried that.
No, I mean before they bond out. Is there not a way before they bond out? Let's say we get somebody on anything, a wreck, drunk driving, whatever, and they go to jail, and when they get ready to bond out of jail, why don't we get the money right then,
Well, they're not
or they got
convicted.
to stay?
Aren't
Right.
They're not convicted.
They're not convicted yet.
Yeah, they're not. You got to have a conviction.
And so that's the problem. And in fact, on top of that, basically in the next, say, 6 months to a year, bail bonding is going to end because the same groups, the Pew and the Appleseed and all these groups that are attacking everything, they're attacking bail bonds as well. And so basically now, you can be charged with murder, and before the person you killed is buried, you can bond out of jail. Other than capital murder, it's the only way I can hold you. And we're fighting some of those right now because of the fact that the court system shut down because of COVID. So that's what I'm saying.
It's picking back up in October though, right? Is that what I saw last week, is that
That's assuming it works. Because, see, in Morgan County, they sent out 350 summonses, and the qualifications for jurors are online now. So you can click the button, and a large percentage of the people who are 50 above are clicking the button, I can't come because I'm afraid of it. And so what we're going to do is we have a civil term coming up on the 19th. We're going to pick a grand jury off of that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to send the summonses out. They're going to pre-screen them and take them to the senior center. So that way we can spread them out and have the room to do that. Until it actually happens, we won't know when or how many people are going to show up. And so once we see that, if we have better luck or a lot of people show up, then when we start trying cases in November and December, like regular criminal trials, then that's what we'll pick back up. But something you got to realize is like a capital murder case. I got to looking at the numbers the other day. I pulled this number in 2019. The OIDS, which is Indigent Defense, paid Limestone County lawyers over $95,000 to defend criminal defendants. And let's say we have a capital murder case that we're going to prosecute. That's not counting the man hours versus the money that's paid for salaries and benefits. Just the expenses alone are very expensive. Okay, I send somebody to prison for the rest of their life or the death penalty. They're not going to pay their court costs. It's the people that are coming to traffic court and misdemeanors and things like that. That's where the court cost recovery comes
have you
from.
sit down and talk with the local legislative office with Danny Crawford and Tim Elson and Tom Butler and all them and told them
Yeah, and they're
what is their
well,
what is their take?
they're keenly aware of it because they were very active in the $5 million, to where the state gave us the $5 million to keep us from closing. And what happens is the state, because of the way the money is set up, the majority of the money that comes to the general fund is earmarked for certain things. And so for Medicaid prisons, district attorneys, and things like that, it's a very small share to divide up. And so what happens is the money that's allocated to DA Incorporated gets divided up by a series of formulas. Then the money gets dispersed to the individual offices. And so once that money is given to us and goes through that formula, there's no other way. Like our delegation can't do like an amendment over here that says, okay, we're going to get the DA's office in Athens X, okay? Because that's why they did the formula. They kept all 43 of us together to stop that. Because back in the old days, you had like one delegation was more powerful than the other delegation. This office got 0, and this office over here got lots of money.
So there are 43.
Right, there's 43 of us. And so that's why I'm back again, and that's what we're running out of things short of having a bake sale. we're running out of things to do to generate funds to operate. Because the thing about it is, you know, like this grand jury is coming up, I can look at the grand jury software and see how many cases are going to be on that grand jury. And so those cases are going to come out of grand jury, they're going to go through arraignment, and then they're going to start going on trial dockets. And so whereas, you know, two of us have been covering 4 courtrooms, you know, we start trying a capital murder case in November, there's 2 of us right there, then that leaves 2 lawyers, one who's right out of law school, hadn't passed the bar yet, to cover the other 3 courtrooms, while no one's answering the telephone at the front desk. So,
Thank you.
all right, any other
Thank you.
questions?
Anybody else have any more questions, Mr. Jones?
Thanks for explaining it to us.
Okay.
Thank you for explaining it, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right, moving on,
Oh, just a second, Fish is
Fish.
gonna talk to us about some budget revision.
okay. Well, come on up.
All downward, right?
Yeah, yeah. The budget revisions that I have submitted are for the software, which that is one of the items
On the contract.
the contract there for Central Square. Some of the other things that I talked about is a body scanner for the courthouse to replace the old metal detector. It's a small footprint body scanner, very similar to what you see at the airports. It's shows them a little stick person and puts a little box over the area on that person where they're supposed to check them. Same kind of system for the jail.
Can you close that door behind you, please? Thank you.
Same kind of system for the jail, where when they bring an inmate in, they can scan them. It keeps them from having to get all up on an inmate that may or may not have COVID. So that was the other thing.
How much is that?
Okay, the scanner for the jail is $139,000. The one for the courthouse is $175,000. And by the way, this is going to be used using the CARES Act money. So
Okay,
this
so
is,
that's covered by CARES.
yes, the scanners are covered by CARES, and the biggest thing I guess is it doesn't have to come out of the general fund. So
No match or anything like that.
there's no match required. Basically, the county has to front the money. That's the reason I'm asking for the budget revision, because the county pays for it, then turns around, submits it to the state, and then the state reimburses.
And there's no no possibility of we go ahead and front the money and the state doesn't follow through.
No, because the state, the way that the CARES Act is written is that it says that the necessity of the expenditure in reference to the COVID response is determined by y'all.
Is that something we need to add today? It's not on here, the budget revision?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can get that done today.
I knew y'all had talked about it the other day about body scanners and all that. I just didn't know if
Right.
it, I knew it wasn't on the
Yeah,
agenda, and that's why.
and I was a little late getting the budget revisions,
Okay.
as in like 3 o'clock Friday, so that's on me.
Yeah, they won't even change it for me. They just tell me to always add it toward the end or something is what they always tell me. So I'm glad you got the same treatment.
Yeah, let's see, the other thing is going to be for some foggers for the jail. Those are like, so they can fog a cell basically and sanitize it. So that's,
Is it handheld? I watched the buses do it the other day, where it's like.
they had,
handheld, looks like
they
a-
bought a handheld one, but these are like more commercial
Okay.
Big Daddy deals. Because the handheld one, quite frankly, I'm afraid it's going to get broken.
And every bit of this is gonna be reimbursed through the CARES Act.
All this will be done through the CARES Act, yes. And then the final thing that was on my request was going to be $300,000 for IT hardware and software licenses. What that is that is for doing VDI or virtual desktop infrastructure. The DoD is doing it for various departments of the Army with CARES Act money as well. So it's basically build out an infrastructure, because right now, doing things through a VPN is not horrible. I mean, it's somewhat secure, but it's kind of one of those things where there's a better way. And we have an opportunity to use CARES Act money to do it the better way. And so that's why I'm requesting it.
So all three budget revisions will come through the CARES Act program.
Yes, yes, sir. So,
You got everything, all the information on that?
He's gonna print them off and have
Yeah.
them for the meeting.
Okay.
any questions, anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
'Cause I'm
Do you have
gonna say- I'm gonna say you're saving us money by being able to figure out how we can spend CARES Act money instead of our money on these things
Right,
right here.
yeah, so that
helps
would
us
be-
out. So-
I think.
And it gives us, we still have a little bit more money left over, so if you really wanna make us happy, find a way to circumvent that.
I got a road.
Was it affected by
The
COVID?
people at the-
Yes.
may be
It's
sick if we don't
infected.
get it paved and striped.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Thank you, Fish.
All right. Now, is anybody else need to speak? Sorry about that, Fish. I didn't know. I thought you was just sitting up there. Sorry about that. Ought to ask. All right, under resolutions and orders, first on here be to approve resolutions and amend and restart agreement for the Greenbrier Parkway Phase 5, which is down in, Jason, did you get anything with that, anybody?
No, I went, rode up and down it yesterday. The one thing that we're waiting on is a piece of property right there off of Mooresville Road that they're still in, I guess, litigation with, trying to figure out what they're gonna do. People are not wanting to sell it, and that's the main part that connects up down there. I looked at it yesterday, it's like everything's going great, and you get to the end of that person's property and it just drops off and stops. So, I went over and under all the bridges yesterday. It was really neat to see how it's going and coming along, but if they don't hurry up and get that piece of property right there done, we're going to start losing, some valuable time and, services right through there. So I hope that gets amended. That's why I was asking the DA about courts opening back up, because the sooner we get those courts opened up, we can get in there with this family and see about purchasing that piece of property and getting it extended. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
This was a revision,
It's just
I would have thought they had,
It's just a restart because the time had run out more or less, wasn't it? I mean, that was they had a year on it, wasn't they? Something
I
like
think it's something like that. It's taken them longer to get
the right-of-way access.
the right of way.
I thought they had all that done.
Oh, no.
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 It all got stopped with the courts. Last time Jason
COVID
and I
virus
met
and
with the city
everything.
of Huntsville,
Yeah.
they said that there's several pieces of property that just on hold. They can't proceed because it got stopped with when the courts closed. And being in Limestone County, it relies on our court system to open back up. Some court systems were opening up via Zoom and things, but
Ours didn't.
now.
All right, Pam, I'm finna confuse you again. Where do I add my resolution? Right here?
Right.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, what we got here is, I want to go over something with y'all. Go, Steve. I'll give y'all one, too.
I knew you said it was, okay.
What we got here is, every year we get money and refund from ACCA from a safety where, you always, where you get back at the end of the year for safety incentives and stuff, which was $22,677 we got back this year. And what I would like to do is, with y'all's approval, and here's the resolution, and I have kind of touched base, me and Mark has talked about it, and I have had Hunter looking at it, and Eddie from, he's our safety director down at EMA, so we've all looked at this. One of the things in this community that we always get praised on when we do is putting up lighted signage and lighted stop signs. All of the people in the community, and that's one of your big things, safety, and that's why we're getting this money back. So what I would like to do is take this money and match this money for a safety project. I'd love to do it from now on, but I'd love to try it for this year, and it would be done from now to the end of the year. And what we'll do is take this money, divide it 4 ways equally in each district. We will do some lighted signage, lighted stop signs, lighted curve signs. I know I've had Hunter, what we've done is I've had them look at some footprints to where we've had a lot of accidents. I know, for an example, I use Jason's district, District 3 down there, we've had Neely Curve. We've always had a lot of curve accidents in that curve. And not only from this, it will, like law enforcement, law enforcement won't have to go out to wrecks and stuff as much. So with y'all's approval, like in another ones, like there's one over in your district on East Ferry Road, I believe, a curve bad. And it's not got to be a stop sign. It can be curves. It can be intersections. It can be other things. Del River Mills. Sorry about that.
Mills.
And I know there's some stop signs in your area where people run stop signs all the time. I know, which it can be to improve. What I want to do is use LED lighted signage and warn drivers of, curves, stop signs, stop aheads, and it would be, roughly a little over $10,000 per district, and it would be equally divided, equally projects, and it would be our safety project for next year with the ACCA and our County Risk Services. And I would love to, for y'all's approval, I'd love y'all to consider this. If any discussion, any questions?
This is what, 1,500 per sign, did you say?
It depends on the sign, but yeah, 1,200 to 1,800, just depending on the sign and what our setup needs to be. So, like I said, we're looking at four-way stops or two-way stops that have issues, or curves, whether we can do the lighted curve sign coming into the end of the curve, and maybe even some lighted chevrons. But I mean, you're looking at about 4 signs per location is what we would be trying to do. Is that great? About 4 signs in each location. We could probably get we get a couple of locations per district is what we would like to, what we'd be shooting for.
So with y'all's approval with this, if y'all would consider this, that would be, something for y'all to look at, because that's one of the things that, you want to do is make a safer, better community for everybody. And I think it's a good program. And I know, like I said, that's one of the things, every time that we put up a sign, that's one of the first things people praise on, how they it, how they, it would be, it'd be something I'd like to do from now on, but we'll try it this one year, and if it works, it'd be something we would do every year with our money. But it's any discussion, any conversation with it?
Everything but rumble strips. It doesn't make any difference if it stops 1,000 accidents. They don't want rumble strips.
They don't want rumble strips, you're right.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is just something that I've thought of, and it was, like I said, it was a safety project, and it would be getting a good safety project in our community, and it would be, I think it would be well deserved. Taxpayers would be something they could see that they put into.
Every year, the DOT sends us a map. They compile all the accident data, and they send us a map and showing the accidents, the type of accidents, the severity of accidents. And so it's fairly easy to sit and look at the map and say, okay, this is an area that we could possibly do some low-cost safety measures like this. There's some areas, Easter Ferry, where we're having to correct cross slope and all those kinds of things. Signs aren't the solution, but there are some areas where some low-cost safety measures like signage make sense. And so they send us that map, and so it makes it fairly easy to at least look at.
Is there any way that we can do anything with roads that intersect Highway 72? Those seem to be, and of course, they control the intersection. Can we work with the state, or?
You don't want to
like
depend on the
Highway
state to
99.
put them
I
up.
think this year we want to look at the ones that we can
We can
control
control,
in-house.
okay.
Let's see what happens with it. If it is something that we pursue in future years, then I can speak with the local DOT representation and look and possibly do that. The signs we would use are state approved, and they're on the state bid list, and so they're the same company that the DOT purchases their lighted signs from. So I don't expect we would see a big hurdle to do that, but I think we would like first year to be able, just for us to be able to do it and proof of concept. Let's keep them on roads that we control completely, and then we can maybe show the DOT next year if y'all decide to proceed to do this again. Show the DOT this is what we want to do, and this is the type of signage we're talking about putting out. That way they know.
7 Mile Post and 72 now, the DOT has come in and put the flashing intersection ahead signs up right there, and I recognize them really, really easily. And that's not the whole sign lighting up; it's just the caution light at the top of the sign that's doing it. So I think those would be beneficial somewhere down the road too, and they're probably not as expensive as the LEDs that we're talking about. So I don't know.
Well, I was just, like I said, it was just I've been thinking about this for several months now. We always have people, every time y'all put up a sign out in your district,
Yep.
That's the first thing everybody praises is that lighted stop sign or that lighted intersection sign. I know And I know, like out there on Nick Davis, for example, we put that out there, and I know that accidents have really went down out that way, And so one of the things is, it was just something, and we just now got our incentive back, our money back, so it was kind of a rush. We had to rush and get it done if we're going to get it done this year, so that was
Oh, so it has to be done before the
well,
October 1st?
we were trying to get we won't never get the projects done by October 1st. We want to get the ball rolling. We want to try to get everything
ordered.
ordered.
The signage and get it going. I mean, we can sit down and talk with you on the locations that we're thinking, but we can order the signage, because like I said, that map it stands out the areas where we think we can make an improvement. So we would order the signage and at least have that going. They're not going to be able to get the signage to us before the end of September, but they can get the signage to us in 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Well, we didn't get this number back till Friday afternoon. So that Friday, I've had to rush this morning to get everything done. So, anything, Pam?
As long as we got a PO, we can encumber those funds and
Okay.
still pay it out of 2020.
It was just a.
Where was that company we went to in Mississippi?
K&K Systems.
That's who we
Is that who you're?
That's who we'll use, Kate.
I watched them make those signs, and that was pretty unique to watch how they do that.
But with y'all's approval, that's what we're after. Any more discussion with it? Thank y'all, gentlemen. All right, so then under contracts, agreements, and grants, it'll be, first one on here will be approved State of Alabama Department of Corrections contract for the Limestone County Community Corrections Program beginning fiscal year 2021, an initial allocation of $270,424 reimbursable funding of qualified offenders, and authorize Tony Gravett as the director to execute the contract retroactive September the 1st of 2020. Any discussion with that? All right, no discussion with that. We'll move on. The second will be to renew Southern Health Partners Health Service Agreement for inmate medical for additional 1-year term beginning October the 1st of 2020 with a monthly cost of $52,253.49 per month. Any discussion with that?
That's no increase. That's the same as
Same.
we're paying
Same
this
price. All right. Third on here will be to approve Central Square Pro Suite Agreement for software upgrades at the Sheriff's Office pending county attorney approval. Any discussion with that? Mark, you mighty quiet up there.
Oh, I've worked with, Dick and Pam on some feedback from that, there's some provisions in there, agreements, they may or may not be willing to concede on, and then also just making sure of, what unilateral right the county would have to terminate dignity.
All right. Thank you, sir. Fourth, be on here to approve agreement with the Mental Health Centers of North Central Alabama Incorporated to continue providing an on-site juvenile court liaison for 40 hours per week beginning October the 1st of 2020 through September the 30th of 2021 at an annual cost of $58,905. Any discussion with that? And under budget revisions, of course, we'll be adding 3 budget revisions from Jonathan out of the IT department, which will have them provided for us by meeting time. And we have no emergency purchases. Under board appointments, we have to reappoint Jerry Crabtree and Mike Besh to the E911 board, terms ending September the 30th of 2024. Any discussion with either one of those board appointees? No discussion. We'll move on. We have no award of bids. Personnel action will be to approve part-time engineering assistant job description and add to the staffing plan. Mark, you have anything with this?
Yes, with the Fema Grant that we received, it's taken quite a bit of my time to process that grant every week, and so to do the grant administration. It's taken me between 15 to 20 hours a week that I'm working on just filing paperwork and those kinds of things to keep the projects moving forward. So those hours and it are fully reimbursable through the FEMA grant. And so what I would like to do is hire a temporary engineering assistant to do this work to keep the project moving forward, keep the grant moving forward. So we have to add this part-time temporary position. And it would only be for the length of the grant. And so,
You mentioned received, the FEMA grant we've received, so we actually received it?
yeah, everything's moving forward. There's still some negotiation that we're having to do to make sure we get the funding where it needs to be so that we can complete the projects. But, I mean, everything's moving through the process pretty well. So anyway, I do have somebody that's interested in the position that would be very good at filing paperwork.
All right. Any discussion with that? All right, no discussion. We'll move on. Second on personnel action will be to hire Jalen Hillman as a corrections officer pending a drug screening. Any discussion with him? All right, no discussion with him. We'll move on to merit increases. We have 5 merit increases listed below. Does anybody have any discussion with any one of the 5? No discussion with that. The engineer's report.
Yes, we have, for your action, we have a few subdivisions. Let's see, we have Tony Senior subdivision. This is a replat of tracks 1A and 2A. So it's a minor preliminary and final affecting 2 lots in District 4, approximately 350 feet east of Pamela Drive and Tucker Lane intersection, just moving a lot line. Johnson Road subdivision replat of lots 1, 2, and 3, and it's minor preliminary and final affecting 3 lots in District 1, east side of Johnson Road. Marks subdivision, minor preliminary and final. It's creating 13 lots in District 3, 1 mile south of Highway 72 at Evans Road and Blackburn Road intersection. Martin subdivision, minor preliminary and final, 4 lots in District 4, northeast corner of New Cut Road and Thompson Road intersection. Briar Patch subdivision, this is addition 1. It's a major subdivision for preliminary approval, creating 109 lots in District 2, east side of Wells Road on south side of Ed Ray Road intersection. Graystone Estate subdivision, this is a replat of lots 63 and 64, so it's a minor preliminary and final affecting 2 lots in District 1, Heathrow Street and Liverpool Drive intersection. And then Heritage Woods subdivision, this is a major, this is for final, they've completed construction and we've done the inspections. It's 30 lots, District 2, south side of Branch Road. Also, Hamlin and Gates subdivision, this was previously approved. They're wanting to add some additional lots, go from 7 to 11 lots. So just to kind of keep everything clean and only file the plat one time, they want us to amend it. And this is located on the west side of Newby Chapel Road, approximately 900 feet north of St. John Road. And so, like I said, it would be going from 7 lots to 11 lots in that Hamlin and Gates subdivision. So that's all I have for your action. To kind of give you an update on where we are construction-wise. We're moving to District 3 this week, and to chip seal, and we'll be District 4 the following week, and then back to District 1. We're going to be moving as fast as we can through all of these projects because we're getting down to the wire. The seasonal limitation will probably catch us, and all of our projects won't be complete for chip seal. So that's something that we'll have to kind of talk about and discuss. I think probably District 1 and District 3 will probably be affected the most by the seasonal limitation, but we're going to push as many projects through as we possibly can. So, like I said, I may reach out to you and speak to you about some priorities maybe, so that we can make sure that we get your priorities.
What about the truck? Did it work today? We were trying to see
The distributor, we're going to test the distributor that came back. We did have to make some changes when it came back from the repair, but we think we've got it fixed. So we're going to test it out today before using it tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to try to use it for our chip seal, so we just wanted to test it today. So hopefully all goes well there, and we'll be back in business with our asphalt distributor. So, but this year we lost some time due to not being able to get equipment, not be able to get materials some days because the amount of work that's going on in the area. We lost time to weather that we weren't expecting a hurricane to come through. We lost time to the fact that we damaged our asphalt distributor. So, I mean, we lost some time, and so it will affect our schedule some. So we're going to push as hard as we can all the way up to the end as far as chip seal goes. We do have some additional plant mix work and patching and things like that are on the list. They won't be affected by seasonal limitation, but the chip seal does have that seasonal limitation on it. So that's where we are on our construction schedule. So, like I said, just want to kind of give everybody a heads up.
Just get all the bugs out of it before you bring it over to my district.
Yeah, they practice it on me.
I know it.
District 3 worked the
That's
bugs.
what I want.
Yeah, the tar temperature was 78 degrees, it's gonna be perfect.
Oh, yeah.
But now we still got the other truck,
We
right?
do still have the other truck, and we will be using it, but at the same time, we do need to get this one. We do need to get this one running.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially while we do still have chip seal season, because there will be some projects that will, from going forward, that will benefit from us pulling off of our tank up here instead of having a distributor. And so if we can run both trucks back and forth to town to pull off the tank, it'll speed up some projects. Like I said, we're gonna try to be as absolutely efficient as possible as we can from here through the end of the month to try to get as many projects done as we can. But it will still most likely affect some projects that are on the list just because of those seasonal limitations.
Anybody got anything else for Mark? Nobody else has nothing for Mark. We'll be moving on to other business, be to remove the following equipment from inventory, which will be from Revenue Commission. Office will be 2 mapping workstations, and any discussion with that? No discussion with that. We'll move on. We have no scheduled public hearings. Report of officers. Commissioner Sammy.
I don't have anything at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Turner.
I don't either.
Thank you, Commissioner Turner. Commissioner Black.
Nothing.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Harrison.
Nothing. We'll
Thank
cover
you,
it later.
And I'll hold mine until then, and we'll recess until 10 a.m. Thank y'all.